Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to take a look at audio device control and explain what it means. Now, you may have seen stuff like phantom power and gain and high pass and all that stuff on your channel strips. I think they made it in Logic 10.5 that you don't really see that stuff anymore unless you have it turned on, but in Logic 10.4.8 you saw it there by default. But as I said, in Logic 10.5 you don't really see it anymore. But I want to get into what it is and how to use it. So unfortunately, there is a very limited amount of audio interfaces that this will work with. At the moment, it's just interfaces from Apogee, and now Audience Evo series seems to support this as well. And that's just as of this recording in the mid to late summer of 2020. So yeah, those are your options right now. The audience stuff is relatively inexpensive, and I got a review of that coming up, so like and subscribe and stay tuned to the channel to see that when it's available. But today I'm going to talk about audio device control and demonstrate it with an Apogee element interface. So I'm going to jump into the mixer here, and so I'm going to press Command 2 to open the mixer in its own window.
Now in Untitled 1, Mixer, Tracks, Window, Audio 1, Partially Hidden, Channel Strip Group.
And I'm going to full screen the mixer here.
Space with Logic Pro 10 containing Window Untitled 1, Mixer, Tracks, Full Screen Space.
Just did Command Control F to do that. So I'm going to interact with this channel strip for Audio 1.
In Audio 1, Channel Strip Group.
This is just a blank project with just a single audio track in it. I'm going to jump to the top of the channel strip with VO Home. Once again, if you're on a laptop, that's VO FN and the left arrow.
Sensitivity button.
And you see at the top of the channel strip, we have all these controls like sensitivity,
off, phantom power, switch,
phantom power,
off, high pass filter, switch, off, phase invert, switch 1, input gain, 1, input gain knob, hardware monitoring, button, setting, button. And then settings. Now this is usually where your channel strip will start. If you don't have audio device turned on, you'll see just settings, off, gain read, off, EQ, mono, channel mode, switch, input 1, button,
etc. And those settings that I showed you that said phantom power and phase invert and stuff like that, that will work for whatever input you have selected here. So if I set this to no input, you'll see that stuff disappears.
Menu, for check mark, no input.
No input.
Press no input. Audio 1, channel strip group.
Let me re-interact with the channel strip. Now if I jump to the top of this channel strip,
setting button.
You see it just starts with settings.
Off, mono, input button.
Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and set this back to input 1.
Menu 3 input, sub input, input 1, input 2, input 1. Input 1.
Alright, there we go. We got input 1 selected. Now, if you don't have one of the interfaces that support audio device control and it's still showing up whenever you have an input selected, you can go into the mixer toolbar and I'll show you how to do that really quickly.
Out of mixer, layout, out of mixer, group. Untitled 1, mixer, group. In mixer, toolbar.
Go into the mixer toolbar.
In mixer, edit, options, menu button, view, menu button.
So go to the view menu, VO space.
Menu, 14 items.
I'm just going to hit VO N to jump to the bottom of this menu.
Configure channel strip components ellipsis.
And now I'm going to start using VO up arrow to go up.
MIDI channel strip component, channel strip components, submenu.
Channel strip component, that's what you're looking for here. And if you expand the submenu,
channel strip components, submenu 21 items check mark, audio device controls.
See audio device control is the first option there. So if you just VO space on that to uncheck it, it will hide it, so when you select an input, the audio device control stuff won't come up. But as I like to use it, I'm going to leave that checked, but that's how you can hide it if you're still seeing it after you select an input and you don't have one of the interfaces that support it. Alright, so get out of here.
Closing menu.
Let's go back to our channel strip.
Out of mixer, group. In mixer, layout area. Mixer, layout, in mixer, audio 1, partially hidden, channel strip group.
So let's interact with this.
In audio 1.
And hit VO Ohm.
Sensitivity button.
Alright. So sensitivity, this is where you can choose whether the input is a mic input, a line input, or an instrument input. And there are two options for line, +4 or -10 dB, or an instrument input. So I have a guitar plugged into input 1, so I need to set that to instrument. So let's VO space on this.
Menu for instrument.
And
check mark, mic.
You see set to a mic input right now. So
closing menu.
I'm going to grab my guitar. And I'm going to turn on input monitoring with Control I. And now if I play my guitar, you realize you're not hearing anything through Logic. So I'm going to hit VO space on sensitivity.
Menu instrument.
Set this to instrument.
Closing menu, sensitivity.
And now
instrument checked. Press sensitivity.
We got it on instrument, but now we just got to see what the gain's set to.
Off. Phantom power off. High pass off. Phase invert switch 0. Input gain slider.
Input gain is set to 0.
Slider.
So let's turn this up a little
10.
bit. Now it's on 10. Turn this up a little bit more.
20, 30, 40.
And now that might be a little too loud. But you see, I'm adjusting the input gain on my interface right from here. I set it to be instrument, and now I can adjust the input gain, turn this down a little bit. So there we go. All right, and most of this other stuff won't apply because this is an instrument
auto slider
setting right here.
Input gain knob, circular slider.
But now I'm going to put my guitar down and switch over to a microphone. All right, I got a microphone in front of me that's going through Logic, except you can't hear it yet because I'm still set to a guitar input. Now this microphone is plugged into input 2, so I'm going to go over and switch input to input 2. Now if you remember, this input is set to 20, so watch what happens when I switch over to input 2.
20. Hardware setting. Off. Mono. Input 1. Button. Check mark. No input. Hyphen. Input. No input. Hyphen. Input. Sub. Input. Check mark. Input 2. Press input 2.
Microphone's plugged into input 2. I'm going to jump back to the top
Audio
here.
1. Partially hidden. Channel strip group. In audio 1.
Now, unfortunately, with Logic, whenever you change the input, you got to re-interact with the channel strips. I just did that. So now I'm going to jump to the top of the channel strip here with VO Home.
Sensitivity button.
And sensitivity, remember, let's see what the sensitivity is set to.
Menu for instrument. Check mark. Mic.
So it's already on microphone.
Closing menu.
So
Sensitivity button.
Let's
off. Phantom power switch off. High pass filter switch off. Phase invert switch 50. Input gain slider.
Input gain is set to 50. You can hear me through the microphone. Once I switch over to input 2, you're probably able to hear me through the mic. So what I'm going to do is turn this up.
In slider 60, 70.
Check, check, check.
60, 50.
So you see, you can adjust the input gain here. Now,
auto slider.
The cool thing is
off. Phase invert off. High pass filter off. Phantom power switch.
If this was a microphone that required phantom power, you could turn that on there.
Off. High pass filter switch.
I believe the high pass filter is only on the Apogee Ensemble, so the Elements don't have a high pass filter built into the preamp, so this won't do anything here.
Off. Phase invert switch.
And this comes in handy. Let's say you're miking up a drum kit and you want to flip the phase, right? Record it with the phase flip to tape, flip the phase on, say, the snare bottom mic. You can flip the phase right here as well. So just about the only control that doesn't show up here is a soft limit. That's a function on the Apogee mic pre's that basically allow you to, it kind of gives you a little bit of extra headroom if you start to clip. It kind of gives you a little bit of protection. That, and you can also set two inputs to be a stereo pair. You can group them together in the Apogee Control app software. Other than that, the nice thing about this is that it tends to remember the settings. So if I create a new audio track here, I'm going to press Command Option A. And let's get out of Audio 1.
Out of Audio 1. Audio 2. Partially hidden.
Audio
Channel
2.
strip.
I'm going to hit Control I to turn input monitoring on as well.
In Audio 2. Partially.
Interact with Audio 2. I'm going to press VO Home to
Audio
jump to
2.
the top.
Name. Sensitivity. But.
And let's set this to, well, it's probably set to input 1. So let's
menu for check mark. Instrument.
Yep. Set
closing menu.
Instrument, so I'm guessing
off. 20. Hardware setting. Off. Mono. Input 1 button.
Yep. So it's input 1.
Sensitivity button.
So you see these settings are still the same as we left
off.
them. Phantom
power off. 20. Input gain
the
slider.
Gain is set to 20 on this. Let me reach over and strum some strings on my guitar. Yep. So that's the basic gist of audio device control. About the only thing I did not cover
20. Input gain hardware monitoring button.
Is hardware monitoring. So if you ever want to do direct monitoring instead of using input monitoring to monitor through Logic, you can just hit this hardware monitoring button and that will turn on direct monitoring for you. So there's a lot of functionality built into the channel strip here if you are a Apogee user. Now, I will say the EVO only gives you a microphone gain control from the channel strip, but that does have some cool features of its own, so check out the review of the EVO as well. But this is just a bonus for you. Just wanted to let you know that audio device control actually works on your built-in inputs. If you're in Logic and you're using the built-in microphones for whatever reason, audio device control will adjust the gain of those as well. So, case in point.
10.
Now you can hear me from across the room in Logic. And I'm going to turn this down.
0, -10.
And
-20.
You can turn it down all the way. But just wanted to let you know that that is an option. It goes from -12 to +12 with the default built-in input. So I do wonder if you're using some kind of generic USB device that doesn't have like a way to turn the gain up in hardware. if it will work on that as well. But anyway, just wanted to throw that bonus tip out there. It does work on your built-in microphones as well, as far as audio device controls go in Logic. Alright guys, hope you found that useful. As always, like and subscribe. If you got any questions about audio device control, leave those in the comments below. If you got a suggestion for a future tutorial, or any tips or tricks of your own that you'd love to share with the community, also feel free to leave those in the comments below. And as always, until next time, happy recording.